Hi guys, it's Han here. Subaru has two products in the US compact SUV market right now. One is the Subaru Outback, the other is the Subaru Forester. Today we're going to check out the 2024 Subaru Forester. Thanks to Jesse for help. Buy Subaru from Jesse. Welcome to subscribe my car reviews channel, both in English and Chinese. Thank you for subscribing, liking, comment, sharing, and light up the bell. Subaru Outback and Forester are both the family's sales pillars in the US market. Their sales volume has always been almost the same here. The current Forester product is its fifth generation model, first launched in the 2019 model. Moderate improvements and updates have been made for the 2022 model year. Not long ago, the official also grandly launched the 2025 sixth generation Forester model. The 2024 Forester will be the swan song of its fifth generation model. Forester products were relatively small in size in their earliest generations. If the overall dimensions of the 2024 model are compared with the current main Japanese competitors in the US market, we can see that CR-V still has the most advantages in all dimensions. If compare Forester with RAV4, Forester has advantages in length and height, and has a slender body shape. The minimum ground clearance of Forester products is 8.7 inches or 221 mm. The approach angle is 20 degrees, and the departure angle is 24.6 degrees. The suspension design uses McPherson struts at the front and a multi-link structure at the rear. In sharp contrast to the Outback currently has two powertrains in the US market, while the Forester currently has only one powertrain in the US market, which is a 2.5-liter four-cylinder, boxed naturally aspirated engine equipped with a CVT transmission and simulates the working status of 7 gears. Simulated on the Wilderness version with 8 gears, all four-wheel drive. In terms of parameters, if compared with the main Japanese competing in gasoline engines, the parameters of Forester's 2.5-liter engine are not eye-catching. The parameters are basically the same as those of competing products, and the numbers are slightly lower. The curb weight is not much different from that of Japan competitors, slightly lighter. All models are equipped with a 16.6-gallon fuel tank, or 62.8 liters. The EPA announced that under combined driving conditions, the Forester's fuel consumption is 29 min/pg, or 8.11 liters per 100 kilometers. Fuel consumption for the Wilderness version is 26 min/pg, or 9.05 liters per 100 kilometers. The entire 2024 series is divided into 6 basic trims. The car we are looking at today is a vehicle on sale from Jesse here. 2024 Subaru Forester Touring, the top trim. Equipped with 255/55 R18 wheels, X-Mode driving mode, Harman Kardon audio as standard. It has optional auto-dimming interior rearview mirrors and luggage racks on the basic version. MSRP including shipping is $4,122. The car's engine, transmission and assembly line are all from Japan plants. In fact, despite the fact that the Forester's outer dimensions have been further enlarged, you can still feel that its design is similar to previous generations of models. The overall styling looks more JDM. Whether the parameters or actual performance of this car, it seems that the overall height of this car is relatively high. However, the front cabin does not appear to be too high. At least compared with competing products currently on the market, the front cabin appears to be relatively low. The relatively low front cabin coupled with a relatively tall body makes the proportions of the body size a bit strange. Coupled with the improvements made by designers to the front after the 2022 minor facelift, I think they appear to be more flamboyant. Frankly speaking, I think the front shape is not very coordinated. There are many vigorous and powerful rib shapes designed on the cabin, which gives it a relatively strong sense of power. The designer may want to express a sportier, more beautiful and younger image with the special shape design of the two front light groups. There are both black and chrome bright strips on the front. They go hand in hand. After the front hood is opened, the front center grille will be divided into two parts from here. There is no protruding bumper platform design at the front. Below the traditional bumper position, it looks relatively powerful and not very complicated. There are fog lights on the left and right. These chrome strips above the fog lamps are exclusive to the top touring version. Other versions do not have that. There is no parking sensor at the front. We can see that the side-shape design of Forester is similar to its front. Although the height of the vehicle is relatively high in this class, it can be seen that the overall center of gravity is designed to be relatively downward. Including the waistline of the body, you can see that compared to the current mainstream compact SUVs, its waistline appears to be relatively low. The front cabin is designed to be relatively low, but the passenger cabin is trying its best to expand the space, making the body proportions seem a bit uncoordinated. This car is the top trim model of the family. Compared with other versions, it has a lot of chrome bright strips added to the side decoration. In fact, personally speaking, I still prefer this kind of shiny decoration. I think it looks better than black. Of course, this is a matter of opinion. Including the rearview mirror just with this metal shell, I feel that the grade goes up immediately. This is the feeling to me. The front door handles of the vehicle have a touch unlocking and locking function, but the rear door handles do not. As you can see, the door opening angles of these compact SUVs currently on the market are quite exaggerated. Although this Forester is not the most exaggerated in this market, the opening angle is not the largest. The opening angle is large enough, especially the rear doors, which are quite exaggerated. All 4 windows are made of single-layer glass. No double-layer glass is used. The lower edge of the door covers the lower edge of the car body, but does not wrap it. Using my height as a reference, you don't need to use any pedals to get in or out of this car, and there is no inelegant posture. But it can be very intuitively felt that the floor of the Forester is lower than that of other competing products. There are 18-inch and 17-inch wheels available in the Forester model series. The top trim uses 18-inch wheels, just like this vehicle. Among the Forester family's brake systems, the entry-level front disc size is somewhat different from other versions. The entry-level front disc is a ventilated disc with a diameter of 11.6 inches. Other versions uses a ventilated disc with a diameter of 12.4 inches. The dimensions of the rear discs are the same across all series, all ventilated discs with a diameter of 11.2 inches. The overall shape of the rear echoes the style of the front. I feel that the style of the new 2025 Forester will be more beautiful and more in line with my aesthetics. At the rear, there are both chrome and black trim. The shark fin antenna above is made of gloss black. The spoiler and the small door frames on both sides are black, with high-mounted brake lights integrated on them. There is a wiper at the back, a split wiper. The shape of the rear taillights appears to be quite alternative, echoing the shape of the front light group. Due to the design age, it has a protruding bumper platform design at the rear. I don't know if this can be retained in the new model. A diffuser shape is also made below, which looks sportier. This car has only one exhaust on the right side, which is straight out. There is no exhaust on the left side. Another exhaust on the left side will look more sexy. The key to the family. After opening the trunk, you can see that it is full of humanity. First of all, the lining of the tailgate is made of plastic, with a light that can be on and off manually, and a hook on the tailgate. You can see the entire rear trunk because its appearance design is relatively regular, and the shape of the rear trunk is also relatively regular. Both the depth below and the depth above look relatively good. Moreover, the shape of the opening section of the rear trunk is relatively regular. Compared with competing products on market, the lower edge of its trunk is not too high. There is a light in this position that can also be turned on and off manually. 2 hooks are set up at this location, very strong hooks, each with a maximum load-bearing capacity of 3 kilos. There are 2 hooks on the left, a 12-volt charger socket, and buttons for folding down the second row seats. At present, at this level and price, there are few models that has button in truck to fold down the second row. There are also 4 hooks in the 4 lower corners. There are also 2 hooks on the right side. Moreover, the hook is very user-friendly and has a hollow center for easy use. This is the button for lowering the second row. Below is a subwoofer. When the cover is pulled up, the first level is a storage compartment. Get this foam up. Here's the tools and the spare tire. The performance after folding down the second row, relatively flat. After sitting in, we saw that the Forester still retains the 3-screen format of the previous generation of the Subaru family, and there are a lot of physical buttons left. This is not consistent with the latest style of the Subaru family. Through officially released pictures, we can see that the interior of the 2025 new generation Forester will also be in the form of a screen on the current Outback. Personally, I still prefer the form with more physical keys. In this way, when driving, you can press the buttons by memory. Press the buttons without looking down. Only the front 2 windows have one touch on and off functions, while the rear 2 windows do not. The buttons on the left side of the steering wheel are relatively neat. Even the top trim Forester doesn't have a heads-up display. The cluster uses a relatively traditional instrument panel with 2 physical meters and a small LCD screen in the middle. The LCD screen displays in color, but the display area is indeed not large. The 3 buttons at 8 o'clock on the steering wheel can adjust both the cluster and the screen in the middle of top. One button has several uses. The LCD screen displays relatively rich information and has a large amount of interactive content. It's just that the screen in the middle is relatively small, and it does look tiring, really not intuitive to turn it over. The steering wheel is also a common part of the family. It is smaller in size and looks sportier, large three-piece format. The shortcut buttons on the steering wheel are also common parts of the family. The steering wheel heating button is placed at 4 o'clock. There are paddle shifters at the back. The light set has automatic on and off functions. The front wipers do not have rain sensing function. Auto-dimming rearview mirror. Got a compass and 3 garage switches on it. On top of the Forester, as you can see, the design is quite traditional. Has a glass case, which is large enough. The buttons feel great too, Japan style. Huge sun visor with extension panels. Looks pretty good. I think back then, relatively hardcore Japan off-road vehicles would have a separate monitor or screen to display some information related to off-road driving. In the past 2 years, with the price of LCD screens down and the popularity of minimalist designs, few cars have a third screen to display information. This small screen no longer exists on the new 2025 Subaru Forester model, and it is all integrated into the large screen below. In fact, I feel quite comfortable with the small screen above. It is placed very well in this position. Enough high and far away from the driver. It looks very convenient and comfortable. The information displayed is relatively rich, but this mode will eventually be replaced by a large screen. The screen above is mainly for displaying information. The screen below is mainly used for vehicle settings and information interaction. In fact, I personally feel that the clarity and response speed of this screen are no worse than the large screen on the Outback. But there is no way. Now, everyone likes big screens. Even the top-of-the-line Forester does not have a panoramic views, just a reversing view, which is relatively clear. The screen and multimedia adjustments and air conditioning controls are left with physical buttons, which is great. Underneath there's an AUX port. There's a USB data port and a 12-volt charger jack. The family's shift lever appears to be relatively thick. The X mode has snow and dust mode, as well as deep snow and mud mode. The center armrest is of average volume, and there's a 12-volt charger jack inside. Sitting in, we can see that the features inside Subaru Forester are quite obvious. First of all, you can feel that its sitting posture is relatively low. I feel that the sitting position is slightly lower than that of the compact SUVs currently on the market. Furthermore, even though its sitting position is relatively low, the field of vision is not bad at all. The lower edges of the windows and the center console are designed to be relatively low. This way the line of sight is better, and it feels more open when sitting inside. But at the same time, you can't have the feeling of being stuck in it while driving. Now that I'm sitting inside, I lower the seat to the bottom position. You can feel that the width is average, but the height is very good. Headroom is excellent. The feeling of the seats is somewhat different from that of the Outback, and you can see that the styling is somewhat different. The filling material also feels moderately soft and hard, moderate support and comfort. The seats for the driver and passenger are both power adjustable. It's just that the driver has additional lumbar adjustment and 2 memory functions. The downside of the seat is that its cushion is not long enough. It would be better if the seat cushion could be longer. Soft material above the center console. These are soft materials. Below is the hard plastic. If you sit in the car and look at the window frame, you can see the metal parts. The moment the window is closed, the Forester also performs a deceleration and noise reduction action, although it is not perfect. The materials used on the door panels are leather, around the soft materials, decorative panels and armrests, and hard plastic below. There is a cup holder and a storage compartment on the left and right sides of the door panel. Forester's center console design is overall downward. When you operate every part of the vehicle, you basically exert downward force. The same goes for the gear lever. Your hand feels like it's reaching down, unlike the Outback model, where your hand feels like it's reaching forward. This is somewhat different, but all the components are within easy reach. Pretty nice. Even though all the components are designed to be relatively low, the central armrest box appears to be very high, still relatively user-friendly. On the side of the shift platform, the upper part is decorated with leather, and the small metal decoration is very textured. Below is the hard plastic. The legs cannot rest on the plastic parts. Some of the small details in the design and the feel of the buttons look more like the Japanese products of the year, which is pretty good. Although the materials used in the Japan-made Forester products are not much different from other products in the family, in terms of workmanship, it can be clearly felt that they are a little better than the Outback. The steering wheel is manually 4-way adjustable. The steering wheel is quite delicate. The small stitches look more delicate, but the leather doesn't feel very delicate. Sitting in the second row, you can see that it has a heightening effect. The line of sight in the second row is slightly higher than in the first row. The space in the second row is no problem for me. Headroom no problem. Legroom. The back of this seat is flush with the B-pillar. Although there is no problem with space, You can feel that the seats are not as comfortable as the Outback's second row seats. First of all, the seat cushions in the second row seem a bit not long or high enough to support the legs well. Secondly, the back of the chair seems to be relatively upright, making it difficult to sit comfortably. But sitting upright like this is good for your waist. The second row configuration of this top-of-the-line product can only be said to be adequate. There are air conditioning vents in the second row. However, the air conditioner cannot be adjusted by zone. The two seats on both sides have two levels of seat heating functions. There are two USB charging ports. There is a certain bulge in the central floor, and the bulge cannot be considered low. If you sit in the car and look at the window frame, you can see the metal parts. The materials used on the door panels include plastic, decorative panels at the top, leather around the armrests, and hard plastic at the bottom. Each of the left and right door panels is designed with a cup holder. The center armrest in the second row is high enough and has two cup holders on it. Although this car does not have a panoramic sunroof, the sunroof is relatively large and the curtain opens to here. This Forester feels quite distinctive when driven. The feature I am talking about does not mean that it is amazing, but that it is slightly different from the very homogeneous driving feeling in this class currently on the market. We can still feel the characteristics of Japan vehicles in Forester. Let's talk about power performance first. The power system of Forester can only be said to be adequate in this level of market segment in the United States. It is far less powerful than the supercharged or hybrid power of competing products. This naturally aspirated engine paired with a CVT transmission still feels like the previous Japan model, with a very linear acceleration process and a gradual acceleration feeling. If you want to go faster, press the accelerator harder. If you want to feel more comfortable, just hold the accelerator steady. This feeling is neither too much nor too little. Everything is just right. Today, Japan brands in this market segment in the United States. Some brands do it to reduce costs, and some brands do it to increase power data and make huge profits without increasing costs. Most models have lost the calmness and comfort of previous Japan cars. The power of each car is adjusted to have a sporty feel. As for the Japanese products represented by the Forester, which are still insisting on their own style, there are indeed not many shortcomings in power on the market. Of course, it is not accurate to say the shortcomings. It should be something I am not comfortable with, and that is it. Transmission. It is obviously a CVT gearbox, but it artificially simulates the frustration of a multi-speed gearbox. This is really hard for me to understand. Like today's multi-speed transmissions, they are trying best to make them smoother and smoother. But this CVT gearbox is causing some artificial frustration. The suspension adjustment is very Japanese style, or Japanese retro style. It feels neither soft nor hard. Even if you roll it at a low speed, it will do its best to filter it. Although the filtering is not very thorough, it feels like the suspension has absorbed some of the vibrations. When driving at high speed and encountering smooth and undulating roads, the car body will sway very comfortably. Rolling a rib at high speed doesn't feel too stiff. For Japanese products of this level, in the American market, some brands have very heavy bodies and appear to have very stiff suspensions. Some brands actually don't have a heavy body, but in order to chase the wind, they introduce a sporty feel and adjust the suspension to be very hard. In order to reduce costs, some products replace the very comfortable suspension with a cheaper structure that is not so comfortable, but the cost is relatively lower. It seems that there are not many products that have this Japanese-style just-in-time quality inherited nowadays. When driving the Forester, the body feels relatively light, and you won't feel the discomfort of a heavy body. The braking feel is also quite satisfactory, without any major features. Braking distance is reasonable. Although the brake pedal doesn't give you the feeling of feedback as soon as you put your foot on it, the brake pedal does not have any clearance either. The brake pedal is also relatively linear when pressed. The car itself is not heavy, and there is no pressure when braking. The steering force of the steering wheel is also the same as before the Japanese model. It is relatively light at low speeds and relatively stable at high speeds, but it does not feel particularly heavy. Noise control is very average, both at low and high speeds. As long as you drive it, you can hear tire noise and wind noise, not quiet. The engine is not quiet either, especially when the accelerator is pressed deeply. The engine sound is quite loud. Generally speaking, the power of this Forester is not very powerful in this market. In terms of suspension adjustment, the softness and hardness are moderate, and everything feels just right. Isn't this feeling the same as that used to be on Japanese cars? So after driving the car for a while, I even felt like time and space were out of whack. Memories of the past keep coming back, and all kinds of memories are vivid in my mind. Let the wind from the air conditioner dry my already moist eyes. Today, Various Japanese manufacturers have begun to explore new growth paths, in addition to the characteristics of their own products due to their own considerations. It seems that the advantages that I once had were gradually lost. Features and advantages such as easy opening, durability, low failure rate, easy maintenance, and ease of use are all features and advantages that I hope Japanese products will try to retain. Don't lose yourself just to learn from others. I hope the dynamic feel of the next generation Forester won't change too much. In summary, this is the tour video of this 2024 top trim Subaru Forester. Generally speaking, this Subaru Forester retains the JDM style to a great extent in terms of appearance, interior, and driving feel. The design of the exterior and interior is a matter of opinion. I personally feel it's more exaggerated than before. In terms of space, if compared with the current competing products in the US market, its headroom is quite good, and the width and length of the interior space are average. The shortcoming of the seat is that the seat cushion is not long enough. If we talk about the driving experience, it is definitely not the most powerful in this price range and class in the current US market, but I feel it should be the most fun car to drive. The feeling of integrating people and cars is still very rare in this level. Faced with today's impetuous auto industry, Subaru Forester can still have this kind of driving experience in this generation of products. I think it is difficult to find a second one in the US market at this price point. Generally speaking, this generation of Subaru Forester is a product with relatively distinctive features in this segment of the American market. At the same time, you can also see that compared to the Outback of the family, its workmanship is relatively fine. But I feel that it is difficult to reach the once glorious Japanese level. I hope that the user-friendly design, careful design, and delicate workmanship of this generation of products can be retained in the next generation of products. Of course, it's still the same words. Buy what you like, don't control, don't be shy. Above video, thank you all.